Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for this month's 20 Questions for 20 Years. Today we have Dave Miller, ALLO's Regional General Manager, to talk to us about ALLO's growth over the past 20 years and a little bit about his journey as well. Thanks to Dave for joining us today.
You bet, this is going to be fun.
We're really excited about this one. So, you've been here for about 5.5 years. What do you love most about what we do here at ALLO?
Well, I think it's important to understand, so I came out of ministry. I was in full-time ministry before I joined ALLO, and my goal has always been to work for an organization that makes a positive impact in the community and in the lives of other people. And when I learned about ALLO and about the culture and what ALLO does, that really spoke to me because I saw this as a company that cares about giving back to a community, cares about making a positive difference. And to be honest, I was wanting to get back into the business world anyway. So what I love about what we do is, number one, we do care about every community we serve. We care about our employees, our teammates, and we care about giving back and making a difference in those communities and in the lives of our teammates. So all of those hit every button for me, and so in a nutshell, those are the things that I love about being part of ALLO.
And I absolutely agree with you as well. I think that that's one thing, that does set us apart from other companies, because we don't just say it, we do it. And that's what's really important about what we do here at ALLO. And you also talked about core values. So why are ALLO's core values important, and how do they define who we are as a company?
Anybody who sat on orientation with me when we did the essentially hour-long part on core values and culture, I always say this. On our website, one of the things that drew me in was on our website, it says, "We hire character." And that is extremely important, because we often say, well, we can teach you the skills you need to know, but we can't teach awesomeness. So having somebody of good character, in my mind, means it's somebody that already, to an extent, lives out our core values in their daily life. So I like to think of them as a holistic approach, meaning they encompass the whole person, not just while you're on the clock at ALLO, oh my gosh, I have to live these 4 core values, and then at the end of the day, I can set those aside. No, the holistic approach is, number one, we want you to be an honest person. Yes, while you're interacting with teammates and customers at ALLO, but also with your significant other at home, with your friends, with your family. Number two, we want you to be hassle-free, which means essentially treat others the way you want to be treated in all things. Number three, be local. Well, what does that look like outside of ALLO? In my mind, local means developing and maintaining those relationships. It's relationships, being local, being present. And then the last one, being exceptional, means always thinking of the other person in what little extra thing can I do to make their experience better or to make their life better. So that's how I've looked at it. And you look across ALLO at our teammates, and they are so committed to living out these core values, because we've done recruiting has done a great job. HR, hiring managers have all done a great job in making sure we hire character.
I love the way that you define that. It's very important for who we are as a company. If you could pick one of the core values, which one do you think defines you the best?
Oh, you did a little twist.
I did.
I
changed it up.
This. Which one defines me the best? Now, the right answer would be all 4, hopefully, but let me think. I'll have to go with local, because again, it's hard to pick just one, but the local piece of it, you want to kind of, in every one of our markets and communities, we want to develop those long-term relationships. So now that I live in Lincoln, I had been in Milford for a number of years, but now that I live in Lincoln, I mean, you want to kind of grow where you're planted. And so I've tried to do that, getting involved in different boards and volunteering with different nonprofits. My wife also does that. So I would have to say for myself, probably the local one.
I agree, especially with seeing you at so many events throughout all of our neighborhoods, and being involved and having those conversations with residents and businesses too. You are one of the main folks that I think people recognize out in the community with ALLO, and they know that they can come to you and they can approach you, and feel comfortable with having those discussions with you. And I think, as your role as the Director of Ethical Engagement as well, that has helped spread that culture even further throughout all of the teammates here that work at ALLO. So really appreciate that. You also play some music at some of our ALLO events.
Yeah.
So we were all kind of curious, how many instruments do you play?
So my main instrument is the mandolin. I started playing the mandolin when I was 7 years old. So I actually come from a musical family. So music, for anybody that doesn't know, music is a big part of who I am, a big part of my life. But I would say anything with strings, I can usually figure out some sort of tune on it. But mandolin, guitar are my two main ones. I can actually, even though I get teased sometimes that I play the banjo, I actually can play some songs on the banjo, as well as getting teased that the mandolin is nothing more than the ukulele. Well, I can also play the ukulele and the bass. So any stringed instruments. Wind instruments is a completely another story. I wouldn't know where to begin on that.
So we were talking about this just a little bit before our live video started. But if you could, what would the hook be if you wrote a theme song for ALLO?
Yeah. So there's two that come to mind. One is probably not original. I might have heard this before, but if we did something like "Get Your Gig On,"
Get your gig on.
Get your gig on, get your gig on. That's one. That wouldn't necessarily be original. The other one could be "Say No to Slow" and "Hello to ALLO."
Yes.
So I know we've got a ton of musicians at this company. So if somebody wants to take it and run with it or work with me, let's come up with some sort of jingle and hook. That would be fun.
That would be really fun.
Yeah, it's got to be memorable and fun.
So over the course of your 5.5-year career here at ALLO, what's the biggest lesson you've learned so far?
Well, there are two. The first one would be always be a lifelong learner. I came into ALLO with very little telecom experience, so there's so much to learn. And every day I just am amazed by the people that I try to surround myself with that know this industry inside and out. And you just hope you can learn a little bit from them. I think people like Al Schroeder, who oversees our design team, I work closely with Al. He has a wealth of knowledge in this industry. Tyler Pearson is another one, our director of product development. I mean, those are two people that have helped me in my career here at ALLO. But number one, be a lifelong learner. And number two, kind of along with that, is never be afraid to ask questions. Asking questions, again, you're learning, but we talk about what it means to be the ideal team player at ALLO. Humble, hungry, smart. Well, the humble piece of it is, yeah, you got to be humble to be able to ask questions. You're kind of admitting, I don't know something. You may be showing some vulnerability, but being open to say, can you help educate me on this? Help me understand this better. And what that does is ultimately makes ALLO a better company as well.
It does. Absolutely. So what do you think is going to be ALLO's, or one of ALLO's challenges that we tackle in the next 10 years?
Yeah, this is a good question. The one that comes to the forefront of my mind is the BEAD program. BEAD is the new federal broadband equity access and deployment program. And $42+ billion is going to be available for unserved and underserved areas all throughout the U.S. States are allocated, certain amounts based on FCC maps of who was served and unserved. It's a challenge, but it's also a potential opportunity for ALLO to work to close the digital divide even more, which we've talked about since I've been here. But the challenge is, number one, what is this going to look like? We don't have all the answers to it yet. Number two, do we have the capacity, which we don't at this point, but how do we gain the capacity to be able to participate in this program? And do we participate? Does it make sense for us to participate in this program? So there's more to come with that, but I see that, yeah, it's a challenge, but it can also be a really good opportunity. Certainly more to come with that as we learn more and more information is provided to us.
Sure. And when you talk about capacity, can you explain that just a little bit more for the people that may be watching today?
So capacity means how does ALLO scale? We talk about all the time, oh, we're growing like crazy, and we are. And we many times have found ourselves working in silos.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it, you mentioned regional general manager. Well, we have four regional general managers, 2 in Nebraska, 1 in Colorado, 1 in Arizona. And one of the goals is to work more collaboratively across all teams. So capacity means, again, being able to collaborate more, but also being able to be more efficient in our hiring practices, but being able to hire where it's appropriate and bring, again, people of character into the company that can help us make good decisions, help us structure appropriately. You've got to have, with any type of growth, you've got to have that solid foundation, which we do. We have really great leadership, committed leadership at ALLO. So now we just have to grow. It's kind of like a tree. You got the roots of the tree, the trunk of the tree is in place. Now we just need to make sure we're able to grow the branches on out. So it's very exciting. Maybe a little scary because we don't know exactly what that looks like. But we're in good hands. Because like I said earlier, we got a lot of smart people at this company that have been there, done that, and will bring that to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good challenge. And you talked a little bit about the regional general managers like yourself. Can you explain a little bit more about what that role looks like on a day-to-day basis?
That's a new concept for us at ALLO. The general manager role really was implemented, I'm going to say first of 2023. So I have Eastern Nebraska, which is everything from Kearney to the Omaha region. Clint Schleichert has Western Nebraska, so everything west of Kearney, not including Kearney. Bob Beiersdorf is Regional General Manager for Colorado, and Mike Horton for Arizona. And one of our goals is really to oversee those markets in our region as far as our growth, our top line growth, making sure that we are getting customers and keeping customers. We, of course, look at all the financials, our expenses and our returns, but we also pay attention to the culture. Again, culture is one of the reasons we're so successful. We are paying attention to the culture. How are our teammates doing? Do they understand what it means to live out the values at ALLO? How's our customer service and net promoter scores in those regions? Developing those relationships with the city officials, the mayor, city administrator, city council, those types of folks, as well as just making sure our teammates know they're supported. If they have concerns, questions, bring those to the GMs and we can direct those to the right leaders to make sure that, again, we're collaborating effectively.
Sure, absolutely. And then in your role as well as a regional general manager, you kind of mentioned that you're kind of on the front lines in some of these communities talking to city leaders. Can you expand on that a little bit about how that looks when we're talking to a new community that we may not currently service?
Yeah, that's important because we have, again, still tremendous opportunity in states like Colorado and Arizona. Nebraska, we've done a really, really good job. So we don't have too many communities left in Nebraska to bring fire to, except, again, potentially through the B program. But initially, I would say what I envision is, let's use Colorado for an example. So Bob Beiersdorf in Colorado, potentially with, maybe it'll be one of our business sales leaders or someone in that region will reach out to that community. Usually it's the city administrator, economic development director is a good person to meet with. The mayor, director of public works. Those are sort of the 3 or 4 entities that we want to educate them about ALLO, but we also want to understand what are the community's needs, right? What are the pain points? What feedback are they hearing from their constituents as it relates to broadband? In the background, our new markets development team, though, is also looking at that community demographics, what's the median household income, what's population, what's the growth rate to determine if it would make sense for us to pursue that. So it's kind of a both and that we do.
Okay. Thank you so much for explaining that.
Sure.
So what is one fact about ALLO's journey that most people don't know?
Well, being in Lincoln, this happens very often, and that is, and maybe as we get into more eastern Nebraska, it will happen even more, but people in the Lincoln area seem to think that ALLO is only about 6 or 7 years old, because that's when we came into Lincoln, was right around 2016. And so they are surprised to learn that, hey, we're celebrating 20 years. No, we actually started in Imperial 2003. In fact, on Wednesday nights here in Lincoln at the Telegraph concert series, we mention it every week, we're celebrating 20 years. And occasionally I'll get somebody that will come up, and again, they're surprised to know that. So I would say that's probably, in my experience, one of the biggest is people realizing, no, we're actually 20 years old. We're not just 6 or 7 years old.
Lots of experience in those 20 years, for sure. So if you could have 1 extra hour of free time every day, how would you use it?
Talking to you, doing these interviews.
These are so much fun. We enjoy these.
I will say that I would use it to spend time with my wife riding the bike trails here in Lincoln. That's one of the reasons we moved from Milford to Lincoln, is because we were spending so much time on the weekends riding the bike trails. Now that we live here, for whatever reason, it doesn't always seem like we have as much time. Yeah. So if I had an extra hour, I would absolutely hop on my bike. We'd ride the trails, go to one of the local cafes that is an ALLO customer and enjoy that time together.
Yeah, that's a good way to spend those days and unplug. We're going to have a theme on Sundays. We like to call those unplugged Sundays, so definitely a good way to spend those.
You bet, you bet.
We're going to circle back to the music theme just a bit. Would you rather hear your favorite artist sing your least favorite song, or your least favorite artist sing your favorite song, and why?
Okay, I knew this question was coming, so I thought about it. My answer is I would rather hear my favorite band singing my least favorite song. So my favorite band of all time is the Eagles. And the reason for that is they can cover so many different genres. They can do rock, they can do country, they can even do some jazz stuff. So they are truly, in my mind, this comprehensive, all-inclusive type band. And the fact that they are all lead singers in their own right. So you can take any one of those guys singing lead, take my least favorite song, which honestly, I don't know what my least favorite song would be, but they would certainly do it justice. So I gotta go with that.
Good choice, good choice. And we did talk about, you being involved in events, as well as like playing at some of those events. What are your top 3 favorite ALLO events that we volunteer at?
The top 3 are going to be Telegraph District Concert, Telegraph District Concert, Telegraph District Concert.
Wednesdays in Lincoln, 6 to 9 p.m. We hope to see you there.
Exactly, that's a great advertisement. Well, I just love being involved in all the events. I get the opportunity to be part of in our markets. But the reason I chose Telegraph Concert District is because, that just is so much a part of who I am with the music. And Sophie and her team, Leslie and the events team, Lauren Bliss originally did it when she was overseeing Lincoln. But I've personally been invested so much myself because it gives me an opportunity to meet other musicians throughout Lincoln. And there's something about being able to collaborate with other musicians
Right.
that get that energy. But to just hear the comments and feedback from people, how appreciative they are of ALLO doing this and partnering with the mill, of course. But that has to be my top pick, just because you put so much into it, and then you can see and hear the feedback and impact it makes in people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And
not to diminish any other
no,
event, but
they are all great.
Yeah.
And I think the good thing too about being in the Telegraph District is we have so many small businesses that are over here. It gives us an opportunity to really network with them, have conversations that are extremely important with them as well, and just hang out with them and kind of grow a community that way.
Well, and the other thing, the real positive thing is, we've often said at ALLO, everyone is in sales.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean that, you hard pressure somebody into getting over service. It means, again, you develop that relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and then as they get to know us and trust us, by doing these concerts out here, they hopefully will walk away going, you know what, that seems like a really great company. They have some really great people. Why haven't I switched my service over to them, right? And so that's part of it. We just plant that seed where they get to see, we like to have fun, we do things right, family-friendly event. Again, make a difference in the community. We involve nonprofits, like you said, other businesses. So hopefully it gives them an opportunity to look into the window and get a sense for who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. A few months back, there was a Twitter comment from one of our customers in Lincoln that said something along the lines of, I bet you don't love your internet provider like I do.
Oh,
and
wow.
it was relating to the Telegraph concert series, like the Telegraph, because we really are trying to make that effort to grow in the community and have those relationships.
Yeah, oh, that's a good comment.
Love that. So what is the most important thing that you think sets us apart from other telecom companies?
Well, there are several, but I'll just pick one, and that's going to be our customer service.
Mm-hmm.
And we have often joked saying to people, guess what, if you call us on the telephone, we'll actually pick up and talk to you, right? Which is sad to have to say that, but I think we've all experienced what that's like on the other end. But the reason I'm going with customer service is because of the Net Promoter Scores.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you not as familiar, we talk about this in orientation as well, but the Net Promoter Score is feedback that comes directly from our customers, telling us how likely they are to recommend, refer us to their friends or family. And when you're constantly hitting up against that 70 Net Promoter Score, which is considered world class, and you look at our competitors who are consistently in single or negative digits, you know that is the game changer. That's the difference maker. And our customers are telling their friends how great ALLO service is. So I've got to go, and kudos to our customer service team, because that is what's key. And everyone's in sales, but everyone is in customer services as well. So every interaction we have with a customer, even a non-customer, is going to, I think, influence how that Net Promoter Score gets calculated.
Yeah, absolutely. Finish the phrase. ALLO's next game-changing product will be
Smart Town. And, Tyler Pearson, again, our Director of Product Development, is really much closer to this probably than anyone. But Smart Town is going to allow the communities we serve to not only still have great connectivity with our routers and our network, but it's going to enable communities, I think, to do even more. We've talked about how we're using Connect Ed Nebraska, the Edge of Rome program, allowing students at universities to get connected and stay connected, not having to get reassigned with a new SSID number. I mean, once they're authenticated, they can connect to this university and that university. Smart Town works the same type of concept, but I think we haven't even seen yet what opportunities there are going to be for these communities. That's what we tell them when we go into a new market is, you've got this tremendous fiber asset, Now it's up to you to figure out what you can do with it. Let us help enable innovation, those types of things. So, I know, long answer, but I think Smart Town's going to be the next thing for us.
And for those who maybe are watching that don't quite understand what that is, can you just give us a little bit more detail of what that would look like?
Yeah, Smart Town will enable people, for example, instead of having to rely on their cellular data, let's say, they can connect to ALLO customers that are using, of course, ALLO service,
Right.
and it allows them to have that reliability throughout the city. I'm sitting in some of the meetings, for example, allowing police to have better connectivity through a Smart Town fiber connection than versus a cellular or some other type of connection. So again, it's just being able to give people accessibility to our fiber network, and again, freeing them up to be able to be more innovative and creative, I'll say.
Thank you, appreciate that. Which ALLO coworker makes you laugh the most?
I've thought about this one. It's hard to narrow down to just one person because every interaction I have with our ALLO teammates, I think everybody has made me at least smile, and many have made me laugh. But, a couple right off the bat, I think like Nate Berman, who's our CFO. If you've ever heard, and probably most of you have, ever heard Nate laugh, it could be the littlest thing, and when he just laughs, that gets others to laugh. And I think that's just, think about it, cracks me up. Tyler Pearson is another one. I've known Tyler. I got to know Tyler essentially from day one. Tyler has been able to crack me up as we've attended different conferences together. Sean Trout, who is a little newer to the ALLO family, but not the Nelnet family. He's had been with Nelnet for some time and been with ALLO for almost a year. He's another one. So there's certain people you just find have that similar or weird sense of humor. But I usually can find just about any teammate can at least make me smile, if not crack up. Yes.
So we were talking a little bit about ALLO's future, some of the things that may be coming up in the next 10 years or so. So let's back up just a tad bit. Over the course of your 5.5 year career with ALLO, what's one of the kindest things that you've done for a customer?
That was a hard one. Not that there aren't kind things you do, because you think about, again, every interaction you have with a customer or someone who's not a customer, you hope that it comes across, in a nice way. But I would say more recently, and I won't name the customer, but this person here in Lincoln is an older gentleman. He had actually sent in letters to Brad. He had sent letters to Don Schoening. He had sent letters to Allison O'Neill, really trying to get leadership's attention.
Right.
And it was a case where it finally had gotten to me. And the opportunity was, and off and on, I think primarily because of his age, he's 80, I believe he's 84, 83, 84. Sometimes technology can be hard.
Yes.
And he was just having some issues, and all the folks I named before were involved helping him get it resolved, but it finally got to me and another issue came up. Well, what it boiled down to ultimately is he lost his wife. He was alone. He was having some issues, minor issues with our phone service.
Yeah.
But the kind part was I wasn't the one who resolved it. I was able to get him to the right person, which happened to be Jay DuPont and his team, to work with this gentleman. But afterwards, I did a follow-up call because I knew, number one, he would appreciate it. Check in, hey, how'd it go? I know Jay did a good job for you and team. But just to be able to talk to him and allow him to just kind of talk to somebody, recognizing his wife wasn't there anymore to talk to. So if we can just go a little extra and take a little extra time and, see how his day is going. And what was interesting is he didn't necessarily want to spend a lot of time talking. He just wanted somebody to listen to him so he could talk and share. And it was an easy thing to do, but I reflect back on that's probably one of the, in his mind, nicest things. And again, anybody here at ALLO would do that.
Right.
I just happened to be the recipient of his letter and followed it through.
And that plays into our other core value of being exceptional. I mean, we do try to demonstrate that in multiple ways, and empathy is a big part of that as well, to try to build relationships with customers.
Yeah. No, empathy is I'm glad you said that, because that, as we came through COVID, that was one of the words that sort of rose to the top, is being able to have empathy, not just for our customers who are dealing with the challenges of COVID, but our teammates as well.
Right.
So, and now that we've managed to live through COVID, and now we're past it, post-COVID, I think empathy, still needs to certainly be, not that it wasn't before, but certainly needs to be at the forefront of everything we do.
Absolutely. What excites you most about ALLO's growth, and what is your future vision for ALLO?
Well, it's twofold. One, we still have a number of potential communities to look at, and it may be, certainly outside of the 3 states that we're in now. And I'm, not going to name names because it's kind of all up in the air at this point, but just know that there are still other communities in other states. So that's exciting. Yeah. Because who knows how long that window of opportunities is going to be there. Brad has shared with us before that, in the next 3 to 5 years, any community that wants fiber is going to have fiber. So tremendous opportunity for us to take advantage if it makes sense for us. That's one. The second thing that I'm excited about for our future and growth is we have kind of this next level of next gen leadership that is sitting right here that is going to need to step up and lead this company into the next phase. I mean, if you look at our leadership now, I mean, we're all at a certain age where, we're going to be here for a time, but it's not going to necessarily be it's a country song. I'm here for a good time, not necessarily a long time. So we're here for a good time. It may not necessarily be a long time. So we're in the process, and have been, of developing that next gen leadership to say, okay, through succession type planning. And that's exciting because a good leader always wants to develop those next leaders and equip them to be able to lead. So that, to me, that's exciting.
That's very exciting.
And you and Don, you guys might be part of that.
We might be.
Hope you are.
Well, thank you. Did we have any questions come in, Don?
We had one from Joe Eisenberg on Facebook. Dave, do you know when 2.3 gig will be coming to Lincoln?
When will 2.3 be coming to Lincoln? Wow. Well, we're in the process of figuring that out and I'm probably the wrong person from a technology standpoint to ask how that works and will be implemented. But I can tell you that is something we have absolutely been talking about and looking at. So sit tight, more to come, because certainly we want to offer that in all of our communities. It's a little easier to do that from an engineering standpoint in brand new markets. But Lincoln will certainly be the recipient of that sooner than later. So hopefully that answers it adequately.
Yeah, no other questions other than that. There's been a bunch of ALLO love.
Oh, good.
Thank you, guys.
Right back at you.
And thanks for that question as well. We do appreciate everyone for joining us today for this month's 20 Questions for 20 Years.
Was that 20 already?
It was. Oh. Actually, was a little bit more than 20.
Oh, wow.
Okay. We'll kind of keep quiet on that. We do hope that you'll join us next month on the 20th for our next live discussion for 20 Questions for 20 Years. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.